Now today we're going to finish off where we left off last time, page 56, 56. Look at section 16. Okay, that's the first part. Anyway, wait, before I go on to that, today we're going to study what's called dependent arising. Dependent arising, or 12 links. This is called conditions. Conditions means cause and effect, or causes effects. Okay. Now in Buddhism, we like to say whatever happens because of many reasons, many causes, and then it brings many effects. For example, when you come to join this group, you may think there's only one reason. But if you think very carefully, there's more than one reason. There are many reasons, okay? A few reasons at least. And then here you are, you come here. And then after you come here, you study all the suttas and so on. What is the result? Again, you can't say just one result. There are a few results, many results, right? Many causes, many effects, right? The problems that we face also like that. Something happens. Something bad, something good. Let's say, okay, a simple thing like there's somebody I know, her kitchen went on fire. Okay, her kitchen went on fire. After that, she got so scared. She threw away everything called the oven. No more kitchen in the house. Just buy food from outside. You know, how did the kitchen catch fire? We say, oh, I forgot to switch off the kettle or whatever. You know, that's not the real reason. That's just the occasion. There are many causes, many effects. We forget to do something, and then one thing leads to another, we say, all right? And then we let this kettle boil, whatever, you know. We could have come back and switch it off, you know, but we didn't. So many possibilities, you know, all right? That's one. Another thing is something goes wrong. We always look for someone to blame, okay? In the company especially, right? Okay, you tell the boss you don't like this kind of story because they want somebody to blame. But the reality is,
100% agree.
You cannot point to anybody and say that's the cause. Because there are many other things that work together to make that problem happen. So a very clever person, clever boss would say, okay, let's examine what are the conditions. And then, of course, you can identify the chief condition, the main condition. Because not A doesn't need to be alone. There are other things. They're all interconnected. Okay? So interconnection is very important. My point in telling you this is, you can't blame anybody when there's a problem. There is no person causing the problem. There is just a problem. So you got to find out what caused the problem, what made it happen. Find it out. Okay, this is a simple way of looking at the Buddhist teaching of non-self. We talk about non-self, right? In other words, there is no one person who caused any problem, not even yourself. There are many things that come together to make things happen. So we got to find out what are the things, what are the conditions, what are the good conditions that can make us come together here, right? See, lots of conditions, right? So it prevents us, it does no need to blame people. Find out conditions. If you want to blame anything, blame conditions. Blaming is not very good. Identify the conditions, solve the problem. So it's a problem-solving method also. All right. So here the sutta puts this in a very simple way for us, section 16. When this is, that is. Okay. When A exists, B arises. Okay. You have oil, you have fire. Put them together, there's fire. Right. The oil, fire. Okay. When this is not, that is not. So you remove the oil, there's no fire. Right? So, cause effect, yeah? Causes effect. With this arising, that arises. Right? So, here arising, that means, say, a problem coming up. No? Whereas in the case of the first one, it's more like something static, you know. When this ceasing, with this ceasing, that ceases, right? Let's say, for example, you can't sleep at night, then you examine and say, oh, I've been drinking coffee at night, right? So you stop drinking coffee, then you find you can sleep better, something like that, okay? You find what's the condition that brought the result, all right? So this is the first part. This is the summary of dependent arising. It's called specific. Page 56, 56. Yeah? This is called a specific formula. And then you have the full formula, section 17, the 12 links. There are 12 things there, all right? 12 causes and effect. The cause becomes effect, becomes cause, and so on. Whatever happens in our life happens through this cycle of causes and effect. Before you come here, there are many things you must do, right? I mean, don't talk about washing yourself, getting dressed. You have to get the right bus or right transport, right? And then get off the right stop. And then you got to get into the right street, right door. Right? We assume all this for granted, but you can miss it, you know. I mean, we're not stupid people. It's just that, you know, like even when I was in the bus, especially when the bus is crowded, I only get a little window to see the landmarks, you know. And so now I don't see the landmark, and especially when it's a little dark, you know. And so I miss the stop, and I say, hey, this is strange. It is not my house, you know. But then I know, oh, we passed one stop, right? So then you get down. So these are causes and conditions you must be aware of, all right? So if we ask ourselves, all right, where does it start? Yeah, we can ask that question. Where does it all start? The Buddha says it starts with ignorance. Ignorance, okay? Because we don't know what's going on. Now, other religions try to say, oh, it's all God, you know. Everything, God is the one, the first cause. But in Buddhism, we say no such thing as first cause. It doesn't make sense to say first cause, because if you say first, it's like time, you know. Right? When you say first, second, third, we're talking about timing. Now, if you ask yourself, okay, tell me, when did time begin? Anyone can answer that question here? When did time begin?
No.
Okay, that's a good way of saying it. Right now, you know. But then I can also ask you what happened before now. It also makes sense. I say, oh, now it was like minus 1 second and so on. But if you say, okay, God is the first cause, and then you ask this pastor or guru, you say, oh, what about before God? Huh? What happened before God? Say, oh, don't ask that. You know, you go to hell. So, you can't. That kind of idea you can't ask. Okay? But time, yes. You start here, you can go back. But it doesn't really make sense to ask when did time begin, because everything happens in time. If there's no time, there's no event. There's no existence. Nothing exists outside time. You see? Right? So this is a very deep philosophy, okay? So in Buddhism we say all this suffering began with ignorance. Now you can ask, okay, how did ignorance start? What's the best answer? I don't know. I don't know is ignorance. That's the best answer, you see? And you can't argue with that, right? Okay, so if you look at this, section 17, that is, with ignorance as condition, mental formations arise. Okay? Now, I'm going to explain to you all these things. What I want you to do now is, because it's good to recite all this first so we have some idea what we're going to study. Okay? Reciting is one of the practices we do. Okay, so you can follow me. No? We recite together so that we can remember better. All right. Now we can live out the that is. We start section 17. We start with. Ready? With ignorance as condition, mental formations arise. With mental formations as conditions, there is consciousness. With consciousness as condition, there are name and form. With name and form as condition, there are the 6 sense bases. With the 6 sense bases as condition, there is contact. With contact as condition, there is feeling. With feeling as condition, there is craving. With craving as condition, there is clinging. With clinging as condition, there is existence. With existence as condition, there is birth. With birth as condition, there are decay and death. There also arise sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair. Such is the arising of this whole mass of suffering. Okay, now dependent ending, 17.3. But with the remainderless fading away and cessation of ignorance, mental formations cease. With the cessation of mental formation as condition, consciousness ceases. With the cessation of consciousness as condition, name and form ceases. With the cessation of name and form as condition, the 6 sense bases cease. With the cessation bases as condition, contact ceases. With the cessation of contact as condition, feeling ceases. With the cessation of feeling as condition, craving ceases. With the cessation of craving as condition, clinging ceases. With the cessation of clinging as condition, existence ceases. With the cessation of existence as condition, birth ceases. With the cessation of birth as condition, decay and death cease. There also cease sorrow, lamentation, pain, and despair. Such is the cessation of this whole mass of suffering. So the meaning of the second part is, when there is no ignorance, there's no mental formations, all right, and so on. So now I'm sure you can feel like, okay, there's some very interesting connections here, all right? So now let me explain one by one. Now, first of all, there is AB, cause, condition, cause, effect. No? So it starts with ignorance. Because we are ignorant, we create all kinds of thoughts in our mind that make us think, that make us speak, that make us act. There are 3 ways we act out this ignorance, through body, speech, and mind. Okay, so whatever happens through ignorance for those of us who are ordinary people, not awakened. Right? Even for people who are clever, it is also out of ignorance that we act. For example, we don't know an accident is going to happen, and it just happens. Right? So ignorance here, what does it mean? It's not knowing how to read or not knowing how to count. It's not that. This ignorance is a very special kind of ignorance. It is not knowing reality, not knowing what is real, what is true, what is good, what is bad. Right? In the Buddha's teaching, ignorance refers to, very clearly it refers to ignorance of the 4 noble truths. Okay? It means we do not know that there is suffering. We don't see, we think, oh, this is nice, just pleasure, But we don't understand that pleasure cannot exist by itself. If we have pleasure only, you become bored. You find it's not nice anymore. Pleasure is nice because there is pain. Pleasure is opposite of pain. Pain opposite of pleasure. Okay? When pleasure ends, there is pain. When pain ends, there is pleasure. So they go together like that, interconnected. All right? They go together like two sides of the same coin. Okay? So if we think only of pleasure, we say, oh, I want to go to heaven, have eternal pleasure. It doesn't make sense. There's no such place. You can never have a place that only has pleasure. Straight line, nothing to compare pleasure with. All right? I mean, right now, as you're sitting here, if wow, very nice, I sit back. Now I make you sit like this for 2 hours, like this, how do you feel? You say, oh no, I want to stretch my legs, I want to stand up, right? So we don't notice suffering in daily life because of our 4 postures. We sit, we are tired, we stand. After we stand, we are tired, we walk. If we are tired of walking, we sit down, or we lie down, right? Standing, walking, sitting, lying down. These are the 4 postures. We keep changing around. So we don't notice the pain in our life. All right? But this is physical pain. All right? The Buddha is talking about something deeper. The Buddha is not even talking about mental pain or emotional pain. The Buddha is saying, in the end, you look at life, all the things that you do, all the money that you make, in the end, where does it go? You can't take it with you, right? So what's the purpose of life? So you have meaning of life, purpose of life. And this is what we are ignorant of. We do not know what is the meaning of life, what is the purpose of life. The Buddha makes it very simple for us. The meaning of life is found in First Noble Truth, Second Noble Truth. The purpose of life is found in the Third Noble Truth and the Fourth Noble Truth. How is that? Now look at the First Noble Truth. In the First Noble Truth, the Buddha says, when you look around, what do you see? You see that nothing is satisfactory. Everything is a struggle, right? You look at the ground, you think that, oh, the road is solid, it's tar, But then you look carefully, there's a crack there and a piece of grass is growing. It's a struggle for this grass. It grows, right? There's always this struggle, this suffering. And we also go through that, right? I mean, look at our body, You try not washing for 1 week, you can even think of it, 1 day is bad enough, right? So you got to keep this body clean, all right? You got to go to the toilet, you got to do all kinds of things, So it's not satisfactory. Who says his body is perfect, nice and so on? It's not exactly. You got to take good care of it, right? So we don't notice these things, but that's the way things are. They're not satisfactory. Of course, we can do something about it. As long as we do something about it, then we can survive, so to speak. But the fact remains, things are never satisfactory in life. There's always something missing. That is why we work, we save money, we buy things, because there's no end to our needs. So in a sense, you can say that is the first truth, that things are never satisfactory. Okay? That is very simply put. There are deeper aspects, but for today, let's just keep it simple like that, all right? Second Noble Truth is our unsatisfactoriness, our suffering comes from craving. Craving means liking, disliking. When you like something, there's something you don't like. All right? We like this food, we don't like that food, we like this person, we don't like that person, and so on. So there is this craving. Okay? And this craving causes suffering. So these two gives us meaning of life. If you look at life, what do you see? This is the way life is. You can never get complete satisfaction from anything. There's always something missing. Why? Because we want this, we want that. Okay? You want this, we want that, is craving. So there you are. These are the first two Noble Truths. They tell us about the meaning of life. This is what life is. On a very deep level. Then the Buddha said, okay, we can do something about this. Right? Since we know the arising of all this suffering, that means we can stop it. We can know the ending also. So the ending of it is to end craving. It's not to crave, right? In other words, we accept things as they are, for the moment anyway. Or we can adjust ourselves, right? For example, our 4 postures, we can adjust, then we cut down on suffering. But that is because of our knowledge, our wisdom. Okay? So this third noble truth is you stop the suffering by identifying the cause, the condition, and remove that. Right? So that is the third one, ending. Okay? But that's, you see, in the original 4 noble truth, actually the path is mentioned first, and then nirvana. No? But in a learning, when we hear teachers talk about 4 noble truth, normally they talk about the path, the way you solve problem, and then nirvana. The path is last. Okay, the problem is solved, and then the path. But in the old version, the path first, and then nirvana. Okay, because you walk the path, and then you go to nirvana. You can choose either way; it doesn't matter. Okay. Basically, the purpose of life is to solve the problem. And 4th noble truth is, problem is solved. Okay, so that's purpose of life. Purpose of life is to solve the problem. And then you live happily. That's the final result. Right now, we all are sitting here very happy, at least for these few minutes. Okay, this is our temporary nirvana, if you like. But we have done a few things to enjoy this peace. We have made some sacrifice, right, to come here, to be here. When we fix the time and we say, okay, this is the time we're just going to sit here and try to pay attention to the Dhamma, to meditate, and so on, right? So this is the purpose of life. Another way of saying purpose of life is to grow. Whether you're a plant, animal, or human, our purpose is to grow. We grow, we change. Another way of saying is to be happy also can. Yeah? Happy is on the mental level. Okay? So you got meaning, purpose. These are the 4 noble truths. So when we don't know this, then we suffer. So this is called ignorance. All right? So I've defined ignorance to you. No? So that's quite a lot already. So I'm going to stop for a while. So this is already, my clock is 5 minutes to 9. So we have a short break. Then we'll come back, continue with our cycle here. No? We talk about ignorance. We do things because we don't know what's going on. It's like we are caught in a very totally dark room. Okay, imagine you come here for the first time. It's totally dark. There's no light here. Suddenly you find yourself here, let's say. So what do? Of course, first thing is you look for a switch, right? But you don't know where it is, So you move here, move there, and there are chairs, and you stumble over them, and there are things, right? So that ignorance causes suffering because you don't know all those things are there, So you got to find where the wall is, You follow the wall, and then you find out where's the switch. You may miss it, and you may have to do it many times, right? So when you're looking for the truth, it's like that. We're in the dark, and we're looking for the switch. The switch is your mind. Yeah? So you turn on the switch. That means you direct your mind properly so that you will see the truth, right? But some religion, they talk about things which don't exist. Yeah? The Buddha say all this God idea, creator idea, fanciful idea. The philosophers make a funny joke about it. It says you got the philosopher and the theologian. The philosopher is like someone who is trying to catch a black cat in a totally dark room. How to catch this very shy and scared black cat in a dark room? And this cat can see very well, but doesn't want you to go near it, So that's the philosopher. Because philosopher talk about things which no one understands, Then the philosopher joke for it says, a theologian, this God idea people are worse. they talk about a black cat in a totally dark room, and the cat doesn't exist. And they are looking for that black cat. They ask you to believe there's a black cat there, which doesn't exist. All right. So these are some of the problems about religion and philosophy. All right. So in Buddhism, the Buddha say, switch off the light. Switch on, turn on the switch. Then you will see. Right. So this idea of seeing is very important. All right. So ignorance is that darkness that prevents us from knowing reality. Okay. So because we are ignorant, what is ignorant? It's the mind that is ignorant. We start thinking this, thinking that, we say this, say that, we do this, we do that. But in the early stages, we think of things. Now, these 12 links here is easier to understand if you think in terms of a baby. A baby is born in ignorance. The baby doesn't know anything, helpless, right? And then the next thing is the baby has a mind, so the baby form ideas. Okay? All right, we'll hold on that idea for a while. All right? So from ignorance comes mental formation. The mind form all kinds of ideas. Look at the second line. With mental formations as condition, there is consciousness. Okay? Consciousness is still evolving in us. How conscious we are of things is not the same. For example, a doctor looks at you and your friend looks at you. Very different. Your friend looks at you, doesn't know really what's wrong with you. But the doctor looks at you and says, oh, okay, this is wrong, something that is wrong, right? So different people have different levels or depth of consciousness, right? So here, from mental formation, there is consciousness. Now you see this little baby, newborn baby in the cot. What do we do for the baby? We give the baby toys. What kind of toys do we give? Bright colors, big size, and noisy rattles. Why? First, color is visual, the eyes. The baby's eyes become better formed, the ability to see, eye faculty. Then the sound helps the baby to hear better. And then the size to touch. So these are three of the faculties, we say. The next thing the baby will do for himself is what? The baby will bite everything, test everything, put to the mouth, right? That's part of the baby's way of learning, by trying to bite everything, right? So you see, toys help the baby to see, hear, smell, right? Babies are very good with smell. The babies can sense a mother's smell. So if someone else carries him or her, this baby might not be comfortable because they have a different smell, right? And then of course taste and all the five senses, but number 6 is the mind, right? So the toys help this baby to become more conscious of sound, smell, taste, touch, and so on, all right? So you can think of this mental formation and consciousness in that way, all right? So when the baby plays with toys, hear sound, ear consciousness become more developed. It looks at the colors, eye consciousness become more developed, and so on. Okay? Then with consciousness as condition, there are name and form. Okay? Okay, so you got consciousness, we are conscious. Then we have name and form. Because of consciousness, we look for name and form. Nama, Rupa in Pali, very easy to remember, name and form. You may say, how come? What's all this? Very funny, right? But I give a very simple example you can remember very well. Whenever you meet somebody new, you don't know this person, what do you do? Whenever you meet someone new, you ask, what is this person's name? You say, who is this person, right? You want to know the name. After you know the name, you want to know the job, maybe, Of course, in Singapore, we ask how many room flat you live in, right? Things like that. So, of course, that is not very helpful. So, we say, who is this person? What's his name, right? Because if you don't know the name, you find you got no connection, or you don't know how to talk about this person. You need to know the person's name. Even a false name also helps, right? So that is called name. Okay? But this gets more serious when you have something like food, you say, what is this, right? You want the name, right? You've never seen this cup before, you say, what is this? So once you see this form, this is form, earth element, earth element, okay? You can hear sound, Earth means solid, and then inside there's water element. Of course, water is not just H2O, no, water just means stickiness, okay? Earth means solidity, resistance, roughness, smoothness. And then if I hold this long enough, it becomes warm. Fire element. You sit too long, your seat become warm. Your body has heat, fire element. Fire here also refers to your decay. Your body is burning all the time. When you breathe in oxygen, your body is burning. We call it oxygenation, right? It's a big word for combustion, burning. Our body burns oxygen, we get energy. Our body burns food, we get energy. Burning, it's going on. Everything's burning, right? It's called the burning sutta, remember? So, and then finally you have wind, right? Wind is movement, okay? Includes air. So in your body you got the 4 elements, right? Earth, bone, skin, teeth, that's earth element, right? And then water, the saliva, the body is about 80%, 60 to 80% liquid, right? And then heat, 70%, okay, body heat, okay? And then you meditate, you come to your breath, you can feel the breath. So all the 4, this is all we are. 4 elements plus the mind, consciousness, okay? So consciousness is when you are aware, okay, you say, there is form here. It's nothing but 4 elements actually. But if everything is 4 elements, so it doesn't help, So we give a name to it. We say cup. Alright? But, in our center we have a very nice Japanese tea table. It's called a table, right? But I sit on it as a Dharma seat. So what do you call it now? You call it a chair. So it depends how you use it, But sometimes things can get quite complicated, I don't know how many of you saw that funny movie called The Gods Must Be Crazy. Do you remember? Yes, but that story I love that story because it teaches us something about Buddhism. Actually, for me, everything teach Buddhism. You can always find something to relate. Okay, so the story starts with a bottle falling from a plane, right? Coca-Cola bottle, And this Kalahari bushman never seen a bottle before. And to make it even more fun, the bottle fell from heaven. So you imagine this so-called primitive people wonder, what is this thing? Right? So ignorance, they don't know what the bottle is. Right? And then they start thinking, they still don't know. They don't know what it is. They don't know the name. Right? So they only know the form. So they are lost, So they try all kind of experiment. They find that when they knock someone down, the person fainted. They say, wow, this is a good weapon, maybe, And then they thought, it came from heaven, Maybe it's something holy, start worshipping it, And so on. So because of their ignorance, they started doing all kinds of funny things, right? Those are called mental formations, right? They say funny things, they think funny things, they do funny things with it. And then they probably later on give a name to some long funny names. So name and form. Right? Now as you become more aware, like the baby hears sounds, the baby look at colors, so senses begin to form. Notice next one. With name and form as condition, there are the 6 sense bases. Now in Buddhism, we always say 6 sense bases. Of course, there are the 5 faculties: eye, ear, nose, tongue, body. Those are the famous 5 senses. 6 sense bases. Number 6 is the mind. In Buddhism, we regard the mind also as a sense by itself, because the mind can also create its own experience of the 5 senses. Like in a dream, for example, you can dream, you see something, hear something, smell something, taste something, touch something, right? So our consciousness become more and more conscious through our interaction with name and form. Okay? For example, here we say water, and when water is very cold and frozen, we say ice. That's all. But you go among the Eskimos, and they don't like to be called Eskimos, they are called Inuits. They have, 20 words for snow. 20 words for snow. I say, huh? You only know one word for snow. So their consciousness of snow is more complicated than our consciousness. So when they look at snow, they see 20 different kinds of snow. For us, one kind only. Why? Because of our ignorance. See? So you can see how deep these travelings can be, right? Okay? So from name and form, you get the 6 senses. Can you see the connection? It's a little tricky sometimes, all right? This one we may take some time to understand, so let's let it float in your mind, okay? Let me help you to read this. So from ignorance there comes mental formation. From mental formation there is consciousness. From consciousness there are name and form. From name and form, there are the 6 senses. Can relate? Roughly, no? You got to reflect on this constantly, okay? So whenever you see something, you just reflect. And you forget, look at the sutta again, all right? And then next line, with the 6 sense bases as condition, there is contact. Okay, here you have a bit of technical term. Contact here means sense impact, sense impression, sense experience. In early Buddhism, there are at least 2 words for the eye. The first word is akhi. Akhi actually means eyeball. All right? So you can't do anything with the eyeball, because it's just a round thing, doesn't work. But there is the word chakku. Chakku means the functioning eye, conscious eye, the eye inside my skull. It's linked to my brain, it's all connected. It's an eye faculty, okay? Conscious eye, okay? So this is a sense base. So I have eye, conscious eye. There is an object here, eye, internal object, internal faculty, object, external faculty outside, and then there is consciousness. I got eye consciousness. In other words, my eye is functioning, eye consciousness. So you got a triangle, eye, okay, object, eye consciousness. When the 3 are present, there is contact, okay? The pilot like to say eye contact. Visual contact. Yeah? Now when you ignite the car, there is contact. Everything is there, right? So eye, form, eye consciousness, when they come together, and the eye consciousness means attention. There is attention, there is contact. Contact means you see the object. Okay, this part is very important. It's called perception, how you experience things. I can look at this, but I'm thinking about something else. I'm thinking, what nice food is going to come afterwards. I don't see the cup. I don't see the cup. You see, I'm looking at the cup. I don't see the cup because no eye consciousness. There is only mind consciousness or food consciousness, if you like. There's no such thing as food consciousness, but you know what I mean, okay? So sometimes someone can look at you, but the person is not present, we say, right? Because the mind consciousness is not there, right? So you need the mind consciousness. So same thing with the ear. Ear, sound, ear consciousness. Nose, smell, nose consciousness. And so on. So you got 18 elements. They're called 18 elements. Okay, 3 times 6. You see that? So this is how counting, you have all these counted dhammas come in. 18 elements. So you got 6 senses, 12 sense bases, and then 12, 3, 4, 12, 16, okay? Is that correct? No, sorry, 6, 6 each time. 6, 12, 18. Okay? 6 internal senses, 6 external senses, all right? And then 6 consciousnesses, you got 18 elements. And you keep on adding 6, 6, 6, you get multiples of 6, all right? There's even a sutta called 6 sixes, which Brother Lo likes. You can ask him about it, okay? So those are called the 6 sense bases. Sometimes sense doors also can. Yeah? And there is contact. That means there is experience of that object. Okay? Okay, I think I'm going to stop here because the next section is very important, feeling. Yeah? So I'm going to stop here. Just remember, start with feeling. Any question about the 12 links? Or so far not 12 links actually. How many links? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Clear enough? Can understand? Just go back, reflect on it. You can download Dependent Arising. What number is it? Dependent Arising. There you are. You see at the bottom, 5.16. You look at the bottom line, page 56. Big dark print. That's a Dependent Arising, SD 5.16, especially 1.4. Section 1.4 tell you about the 12 links I just told about. You can download all these notes from the internet. Yeah? The address is at the bottom of the page, dhammafera.org. Okay? Okay, any questions? Okay, so...
Actually, the idea of the dark room, total darkness. One of the experiences we had when we were invited to a restaurant. This restaurant is very unusual. The people who serve you are all visually handicapped.
Oh, really?
Visually handicapped. So it was our first experience. Then a friend of ours said, "Oh, I'll bring you to a dinner." So we said, like he made it so mysterious, you know. So what's going on? Don't wear a watch. So, don't wear a watch. So we all went to this restaurant without us anything. And as we entered the entrance of the restaurant, it's very dim. Only a small light. What type of restaurant is this? So dark. Then after a short while, the manager came up. Okay, we have booked the table. Very soon, the waiter will bring you up. So the waiter came. Wow, we look at him. Visually handicapped, you know. And then by his memory so good. You are Mr. So-and-so, you are Mr. So-and-so, you are so-and-so. He knows the name. Beforehand, he already learned who you are. And then he told us, you put your hand on my shoulder. The next person put his hand on my shoulder, and so the three of us became blind, you know.
Yeah, we say go, in Amman we say go crocodile.
So we just follow him, you know. And from ground floor, we walk up a dark flight of staircase, you know. Wow, first time you imagine you walk up the staircase in total darkness, you know. Chua, you know, really scared.
So this is the blind leading the seeing. No, lead the seeing.
Then when we went up to the landing, we said, okay, we have reached the landing. It's quite safe. Then he said, now you turn right, so we all turn right. Then he led us to the table. Total darkness, can't even see your own hand. You know. That is the Tao restaurant. Then he said, you sit here. So, where's the chair? So our hand will feel it, you know, whether this is the back of the chair or the front of the chair, because you'll be sitting on the floor, you're not careful, you know. So we sit down. They say, okay, the fork is on the right hand side. Wow, fork. That's
fork on the right, left, you mean?
This I will tell you.
Oh, okay.
Then after that he said, this is water, you pour your own water. Can you imagine you pour the water into a cup from a bottle yourself? You don't know where is the mouth of the cup. So really, you know what, it is fantastic. So you put your hand and feel, whether full or not full, you also have to feel, you know. Oh, it's quite a challenge. After that, the food came. Okay, this is your appetizer, you can start to eat now. Where to start? So you take a fork, you get nothing, you know. Then he said you start from 12 o'clock, then you go to 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock. So in other words, the food is into 4 quarters. So we use the fork, but nothing came out of from the fork. You know. Finally put down the fork, took the spoon. Then after that, the main course. Then
you know what you're eating or not, right?
You taste the food, everything is so tasty, you don't know what you're eating, you know. this experience, you know. So after that, yeah.
You don't know what you're eating, it's so dark.
Yeah.
Okay?
You
After that, you know what you're eating.
No. This is a good part of it. After finish dessert, she said, okay, you all have your dinner ready, now we go downstairs. Wow. Then you put his car on.
It's all darkness.
It's all darkness, you can't see your own hand.
You only hear voices.
Even the next table they talk, you can hear, but you don't know whether Hmong or Chinese or whatever. And it's pretty expensive. Each person $100+ just to have that experience. After it came down, then the manager said, how do you find the food? What food? Then he said, okay, tell me what is the first dish, what you had. So he said, taste something like this, taste something like that, taste something like this. Then he tell you the truth. This is what you had. We ate this. You didn't even know, you know.
And you don't know what.
You still don't know. But until, no, you can't tell, you know, there are so many.
Even the taste you also can't tell.
No. The chef is first class. You make it until you don't even know what you are eating. Even they put down, you also won't know. Serious, no? And people who go down there, I look at it, they are foreigners, they are Japanese, they are Hongkies, and this thing is started by in Europe, in Germany. Couple started to us to appreciate the blind people. How difficult it is when we have eyes we don't treasure, then we go in. After that, this is really ignorance, you know. So from there, we all learn something. This eyesight is so important.
Precious.
Very precious. And life, when you see people not very handicapped here, why we need to help people? Because went through that, you really, you are prepared to spend $120, you get experience.
Just go to experience.
You really can't describe it. It's about $120. It's worth it, whole lifetime.
Okay, we were close with a story related to what Brother Loh just said. The story was written by someone called H.G. Wells. Have you heard of him? H.G. Wells, Invisible Man. The story is called Country of the Blind. I was fortunate to have heard this story when I was in early secondary school, I think. So there was this man, let's say he's one-eyed, okay? So he climbed over this mountain, he went into the secret valley, and discovered everybody there was blind. There's this beautiful village, you know, and they get all nice food and so on. So this one-eyed man thought, wow, this is great, you know, everyone is blind here, I can do what I like, you know, I can become king, you know. So he started bullying them. He thinks that he can do what he likes, you know. And then came darkness. Now when it was dark, you know, we're talking about village of the blind, you know. They got no light, very dark. So this one-eyed man couldn't see his way at all. But these blind people, they know exactly what is where. And so this poor man couldn't, you know, he couldn't move around. He couldn't escape. That he got caught and got beaten up by the blind people. So this shows that whether you're one-eyed or two-eyed, you're not necessarily king among the blind. But the blind can see with their mind. So this means the mind is stronger. You should develop the mind. And if the mind is blind, then you're really blind. So we should never blind the mind. Okay, on that note, we end today's class. So we do a short reflection. One of the most wonderful things that we should remember about this class is how time has flown, and nearly 1.5 years have passed, and so we have kind of committed ourselves to this, to the three jewels by practicing, keeping the precepts, practicing meditation, studying the suttas. Now, when we do this, we are slowly, carefully building up our wisdom. And this wisdom will bring us true happiness. And this is something we can take with us wherever we go, even into the future life. We can take nothing with us except our good karma. And this is our wonderful good karma. Every time we come here, every time we listen to the Dhamma, every time we talk Dhamma. Reflecting in this way is wonderful good karma. By the power of such good karma, may we be blessed with good health, happiness, and the wisdom and courage, especially to aspire to stream winning in this life itself. By the power of the three jewels too, may our loved ones be well and happy. May they too enjoy the happiness of understanding the three jewels in this life itself. And may those who are seeking the truth, seeking the Dhamma to find it, and those who are lost and have difficulties, may they see the true way in this life itself. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.